My name's Bruce Outridge. Welcome to the Live Pedal Podcast. We're going to talk about what's new in September. You do not want to miss this. We got a lot of great stuff coming up, my friends, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, so we got a lot of great stuff coming up in September here. Thanks for everybody sticking with us. We appreciate your support. Please subscribe to the show, share it with your friends. Let us know what's going on. We just love having all of this, all of you with us here all the time. So let's just start with some of the changes. You probably noticed last month we moved to 3 episodes per week. You will notice we're moving to 4 episodes per week. Now, we're not actually adding another episode on top of that. What we're doing is we're taking our featured truck episode, which is usually on Fridays, and we're just kind of going to move that into, we're going to start adding episode numbers. So if you're listening on the podcast, you'll see episode numbers for those featured trucks. And that's just because it's a regular feature. We're trying to streamline everything. So all the bonus features will be either sponsor highlights or additional content that is not normally on the show. But the feature truck has been every Friday for years, and so we've decided now, because we're adding enough episodes, that we're going to make this a regular episode for us. So you'll start seeing the feature truck of the week. You'll also start noticing that any events, we will be announcing those on the Friday feature truck. If you're listening on the podcast, they're going to be after the feature truck. The reason is we had them on Wednesdays. You'll probably notice, and we're not going to talk about all of them either. We're only going to talk about the ones coming up over the next couple of weeks. Because Friday's a shorter show, because it's just the featured truck, we decided that we're just going to move them there, and that kind of evens things out. Instead of having them on a Wednesday, which is usually a full long interview, having that on top was just a bit too long. So you'll notice that the events come out on the Fridays. You can always go to our events calendar. We do a separate events calendar episode every month for that. So if you just want the events, you can certainly go to there. Okay, so those are the basic changes we've got. So now let's find out who we've got on the show, because we got some great people on the show here. By the way, if you're wondering where you can follow us, maybe this is your first time seeing us, you can follow us on the podcast platforms. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Radio Public. There's a host of a number of them. If you go to our website, you can see all the ones we're on. If you're following us on video, YouTube is probably the best place to get our YouTube stuff, and you can find some on our website. And then if you are on social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook are where we are. So you can find us on any of those platforms. We put out content every single day, so I suggest you subscribe so you just see what's coming new. So here's what's coming up for September. We got some great stuff coming up. First episode's always what's new. This is this one, so you don't have to worry about that one. And then we've got next is episode with Mark Monsione. So if you've heard this name but you're not sure, Mark used to be an ex-MTO officer. For those of you listening from outside of Ontario, that's Ministry of Transportation Officer. That is the same as the DOT in the States. We talked to Mark about his career. Oh, no, we don't. Scratch that. Sorry, Mark's not next episode. I changed it. Can't even read my own writing. All right, so next episode after this, what's new, is going to be about fallen drivers. We've had 2 drivers pass away over the last little while, and I want to dedicate a show to them. There was some big convoy tributes to it, celebrations of life. So we're going to talk about that in the next episode. So that's episode 359. Forget that part with Mark Monsione. Then after that, we cover the Chrome Supply Warehouse had an appreciation event. By the way, it is the Canadian Driver Appreciation Week, happening September 1st through to September 7th. So make sure if you're in Canada, you'll probably see a lot of companies having barbecues and all that. They like to keep us fat and healthy. And anyway, if you see a driver, make sure you say thank you. Thank you to all of the drivers for what you do, no matter which side of the border you're on. Anyway, we're going to be talking We're going to be covering that event. I sent my son Kyle out there. He's been helping us out a little bit, and he was out at that event because we were at another event. And so he had an interview with himself, and not with himself, with a guy named Than Vermilya, driver Than Vermilya, and we were just talking about his rig, that kind of stuff. So we're going to find out all the goods about what happened out there on the customer appreciation event and trucker get together by Chrome Supply Warehouse. That's episode number 360. 361, we got this beautiful, beautiful 389 Pete. Man, you want to make sure you join us for that. Anyway, that's our first feature truck for this week, for this month. All right, so then we get to Mark Monsignor. Okay, so we didn't forget about Mark. But Mark had an interesting, so Mark was next MTO officer, like I started telling you before I quit. And he has had an amazing career. He's now in compliance. He's working with companies for ELDs and all that kind of stuff. But he has a really interesting career. And I thought it was fabulous. We met over a cup of coffee, and we just talked about what it was like to have a love for trucking, because his dad was a truck driver, and then be an enforcement officer, and the struggles that go on with that. That is episode number 362. You want to join us for that. We talked to a guy named that has Trucker. It's called Trucker, but it's Truck ER is what I call it. This is a new maintenance app that's coming out, and we talked to a guy named Costas about what it does and how it's going to help drivers. This is a way of you, if you're stuck at the side of the road, how you can get that attention, get someone to come to you. You can bid on. This is going to be a super app, man. If it works the way he says, it's going to be an awesome app. We did a whole interview on him and his app and what he's doing. It's coming out in October. It's not even out yet, but he is taking pre-registration if you want. So we're going to talk about that on episode number 363. Hey, we met up with our old friend Rick Blatter. We had a little phone chat about defensive driving. There's been some crazy stuff going on the highways out here. Of course, when it's summer, everybody's out and about, and it actually causes a lot of problems. So we talked to Rick. We just talked about some of the accidents that have been happening, some of the things going on. Of course, we talked about his 3, 7, and 15-second rule, which he's passionate about promoting. There's a green and black cab over that I saw at Sparta. Man, we got an interview with the driver. He's with Landstar, actually, and you want to check out this rig because this is really cool. So we'll be talking to him as the second feature truck of the month. Hey, and then we get Mark back on again. So Mark was on talking about his career, but then we did another interview with him to talk about compliance and what's going on and how you drivers can get some tips on getting through the scales and what they're going to be looking for as far as ELDs. We got, as you know, there's already ELDs in the States, but we got ELDs coming to Canada, and we're going to talk about that a little bit in this episode. That's episode number 366 for you. Hey, and you know what? Owner-operator programs are always something that's important. And we are going to talk about, should you become an owner-operator? And I know there's a lot of you saying no, but there's a lot of things that are saying yes. So how do you know whether you should do that or not? We're going to talk about that on episode number 367. That's out in mid-September, so that'll be coming up for you for sure. We're going to recap the Bridging the Barrier event with Women's Trucking Federation of Canada. Shelley's husband, Chris, is one of the drivers that passed away, so you'll hear about that story here. But we're going to be recapping this event, which is happening on September 6th, which happened September 6th, and so we'll be talking about that. And then I have a custom KW that is our third featured truck of the month. And man, this thing has dollar bills in the floor. I know. Just wait. Just make sure you come and check it out when I bring it up. That's our third featured truck of the month. Hey, and we have, you guys hear about truck training, you hear about truck training schools, you hear about different stuff going on. Man, we are going to talk and investigate that a little bit. We're going to take a ride with Ontario Truck Driving School to find out what it's like to actually go through their training. And this is going to be a good episode. We're going to talk to instructors, drivers, all kinds of stuff. So make sure you join us on episode number 370 of the podcast and the video. And then on 371, we are going to be recapping the Truck Convoy for Special Olympics. They are having their 15th year Paris, Ontario Convoy, helping special needs athletes, Special Olympics. We were there this year. We will be there. It's happened on September 14th, and man, you're gonna love this one. So make sure you join us to recap that episode. And then, of course, Trucking for a Cure went out strong in September as well. They had their 10th anniversary, and we're going to be recapping that event on episode number 372. And you want to make sure you check out our final featured truck of the month. This is from the Florida Gators, man. It's their Florida Gators truck. Check this out. I had the guy contact me and send me pictures for this, and we're going to recap that as our last one of the month. So lots of stuff going on for September. Hey, you know what? The best way to do this is just subscribe to the show. You know what? If you're on the podcast, hit that subscribe button, write an Apple Podcast, and man, you'll get every episode as it comes out. You can set how many you want to default. And a lot of drivers do that, right? It's the best way to do our stuff because our show's only about 30 minutes and you got 13 hours a day. Sure, we want you to listen to other podcasts, but we want you to listen to ours first. But anyway, don't worry about that. But you know what? You can, if you subscribe, then they'll just download whatever new episodes coming out. We got stuff coming out daily, my friends. So if you're trying to keep up by just searching, it's not going to work. Try subscribing to our show if you're on the podcast. If you're on YouTube, we put out a YouTube preview for every show, and then we have some other interviews and stuff. So if you're on YouTube, man, subscribe to the show, man. You're going to see some of the cool rides. That's the thing about the podcast. You can't see some of the cool rides that we see, but you can see them if you're on YouTube. So you want to make sure that you're joining through both of those, and make sure you check that out. And then, of course, if you just want to follow us and you're not sure what the heck's going on yet, you know what, some days I don't either, then you know what, social media is a place to be. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and of course I'm on LinkedIn, so you can search my name and follow me on LinkedIn if you want, and you'll get all of that. So lots of places to get this content. You do not want to miss it, and there's no reason that you should miss an episode. So we got a lot of stuff coming up. We got a lot of stuff coming up in the future. I'm just one person. Anyway, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you join us. We got lots of stuff going on, and I know that you're going to love all the programming here. Man, if you're in the industry, you got to keep up with this stuff. We are for the drivers. We are for you. So that's why we show Chrome. That's why we show good trucks. That's why we show professional drivers, and that's why we show what's going on in the industry. I'm your host, Bruce Outridge. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Catch you later.